I think many of you would have heard me or seen me. What is the proportion of people who haven't seen me or heard me before? Okay, good. So in case if you hear some facts, because facts are going to be facts, I may be repeating it. And as I said, I have to repeat it to get the history out, or the true history out. As Brother Unini said, the purpose of my coming and talking to you is to educate. The word educate, I don't want you to misunderstand the word. I'm not referring that you are uneducated. But I like to make a distinction, the use or the meaning of the word education. Most of the time, we call somebody educated because he has a BS degree or a PhD degree. I don't consider that to be an education. That is simply the person is literate. He can read and write, maybe get a job, fill his tummy. I don't think as African Americans or the black untouchables of India, that word is the word that we want to use. Education means to understand who I am, who you are, what's your background, what's your past, what's your present. If we do not understand that, then we are not educated, no matter what your educational qualifications are. Okay? So, with that kind of introduction, I would like to bring to you a part of the world which has been completely hidden and forgotten. There are two worlds who were connected together long time back, but the present generation do not know. Either side do not know, the other side is related. And that is my purpose. So if someone would look at me, this guy doesn't look like an African. He looks like one of the Indians walking around the street, and most of the Indians are obnoxious to the African Americans. What is he doing here? And this has been raised several times. Every time I go to an African American meeting, particularly in the beginning, when Brother Noko Rashidi used to take me, and people question, who is this person? But I think I have spoken to several groups, several radio stations, and the book, the Dalits, the Black Untouchable of India, has fairly disseminated the information about who the Dalits are. I think now the African American community has understood that not every Indian is obnoxious. There could be somebody who is your brother or sister. And it's kind of difficult to find out. Okay? And even after I finish my lecture, still you may not be able to find out. But at least you would know there is such a thing, that there is a brother or sister who has same ancestry as you have. Okay. So going back to the history, what is the connection between India and Africa? I think by now probably a lot of people know, because I've asked that question several times, that India used to be called long time ago Eastern Ethiopia. Everybody knows that, right? No? Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. You also probably heard there is a big river in India called Ganges. Okay. To be frank, till 2 years back, I did not know what the meaning of the word Ganges. I simply know Ganges is Ganges. Do you know the name Ganges is one of the strongest and famous emperors of Ethiopia? That's right. Do you think some crazy Aryans would name a big river in India after an African emperor? Would not. Simple logic says that. In southern part of India, a particular god is being worshipped by the local people. His name is Murugan. He is always on top of the hill. And you go back to Eastern Africa, even today, for more than 25 tribals worship a god which is on the hill. His name is Murungu. And obviously there's no connection between these two people over 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 years. So I'm trying to bridge the gap. There is a distinct and clear connection between the ancient India and the ancient Africa. And that is where I want to go back to the Indus Valley civilization. I think most of you would have heard that, or maybe would have studied in school, which is as ancient as the Egypt Nile Valley civilization. Okay. I want to confess that I am not a historian. I'm not an archaeologist, a sociologist. I'm a good-for-nothing engineer. Okay. So I'm not trying to go into the details, archaeological details. I will leave that to Brother Runoko Rashidi when he comes next. But the original inhabitants or the original creators of the Indus Valley civilization, which is also called Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, or Harappan civilization, was created by the black man. People came from Africa. About 7,000 BC, which is 9,000 years back, maybe even earlier than that. They brought agriculture, they domesticated most of the animals, they were highly civilized, they had two-story buildings, sanitation systems, sewage system, they had a built-in screening system in the sewage so the solids would not block the liquid passage. They had chutes so they can drop the garbage from the upper level to lower levels. They had individual wells. They had courtyards. Highly civilized conditions they were living. They're very peaceful agricultural people. Very well flourishing civilization. This is the original black people. Then about, I think, 5,000 BC, small groups of people from Mediterranean started coming into Indus Valley. The Indus Valley I'm referring right now, if you could imagine Pakistan. And that is where the original Indus Valley people lived. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, those are two main cities that they lived. And that was not discovered till, I think, 1846 or something by the British. Before that, we did not even know that we had a civilization. The British, obviously, they were trying to build railway lines and they stumbled into the civilization. When these Mediterranean people came, they mingled with the local black people. And obviously, there is a certain amount of intermingling and maybe a slight change in features. That is the people they started calling themselves Dravidians. Maybe Brother Inuni might be able to give a little detailed definition as what the Dravidian means. I'm not quite sure, even though I call myself a Dravidian. But anyway, that is how the word Dravidian came into picture. To me, Dravidian and a black are one and the same. As a matter of fact, that is how it is being used in the Vedas and scriptures of the Hindu religion, which I'll go into a little later. Okay. And even today, in India, normally the dark-skinned people are referred as Dravidians. Okay. When these Dravidians were living comfortably, about 3000 BC, between 3000 and 2000 BC, nomadic white Aryans came from the Central Asia. They were looking for food. They were just wandering around. They were huge, big people. The one thing, sadly, they had is they domesticated horses, which the Dravidians did not. With the horsepower of being nomadic barbarians, they had all the skills of killing and beating. So when they walked into Indus Valley civilization, they found a glorious people living. So first thing they wanted to do is to conquer the people and to learn and to possess everything what these people had. A conflict took place. A war took place. It went on for several hundred years. Obviously, when the people came, the Aryans came, there is no very clear-cut statistics how many women came with them. The perception is that not too many women they brought with them, the white women. So there is already a mixing of color started during the period of struggle. So when the white man started having offsprings closer to white skin, not exactly white, closer to white skin, they started dividing these people into different groups. The highest being the purest white. The second group, little darker. The third group is little darker. And then they assigned positions or jobs or trades according to the color. The purest color had the best job. The second color, the lowest color, had the second level job. And the third level color had the third level job, and the fourth one is the darkest color. Okay. The purest guy, the white man, they called themselves Brahmins. Brahmins, the word Brahmin comes from the word Brahma. Brahma is the creator of the religion that they later on invented. When they came in, they did not have a religion. Our ancestors had nature worship. That is what they did. They did not have any ritualism. They simply worshipped the sun and the rain and the fire and the air. That is the type of worship they had. They also worshipped cattle, the cows, and the bulls, because that is what is used in their agriculture. So they wanted to thank them. As a matter of fact, even today in South India, where most of the Dravidians live, we have 1 day or 2 days. 1 day we equivalent to Thanksgiving, but we thank the sun, because without sun we cannot have agriculture. And the second day we thank the oxen and the bulls and all that. Even today it's happening. So this is our ancestry. But these guys, they created their own gods. Brahma is the creator. So the pure white Aryans, they call themselves Brahmins. Brahmins, I guess it's also meaning the wise man. That is according to them, obviously not according to me. Okay? So their duty or their exclusive profession is priesthood and teaching. They are the only one can read and write. And they are the only one can obviously be the priest. That means be close to the God, and essentially they call themselves the God. On earth, they are the God. The second lighter skinned guy got the job of a trader, trading and accounting and taking care of the business. And the third guy, the third darker guy, is the warrior. And the big guys, they picked all these guys, okay, you're going to protect us. This is the people came from their offsprings. But the indigenous people we were fighting with them all the time, and were captured and made as slaves to serve the first three. At that time, I think it really meant classes. The fourth one is called the Shudras. They're in fact the slaves of the three upper castes. So the first three castes are called the upper castes. And the fourth one is the Shudra, or a slave. But that doesn't end the story there. The people who fought with these Aryans but could not withstand and ran off into the jungles are called the tribals. And even today, you can see tribals in India. If you go and look at them, you wouldn't distinguish them from any other African in Africa. Every features, the curly hair, the big lips, and everything. Dark color, dark skin. In between, the guys did not run away, the guys did not surrender, but kept fighting all the time. Ultimately, the Aryans took these people as slaves. But they're so furious because these people did not surrender like the Shudras. And they said, okay, you guys, we're going to punish you and we're going to call you untouchables. Because we can touch you, because if we touch you, we'll pollute ourselves. And we're going to designate the kind of jobs which are called polluting jobs. Cleaning the street, cleaning the bathrooms, carrying the dead animals, and everything which goes along is called polluting or filthy. And then we're going to make you to live away from this town, away from the villages, segregated. These are called the outcast or untouchables. This is initially started as a kind of a class system. And I want to make sure we clearly understand the difference between class and caste. There is a big difference. A lot of people do not understand, or if you talk to a lot of Indians walking around here, either they do not understand or they purposely lie to you. Okay? There is a valley and a hill difference between the word caste and class. So this started as a class system, but then the Aryans worried about the purity of their race. They wanted to make sure that they have no more intermingling between these castes, so the Brahmins can control them better. They wanted to keep those people within the two walls, or the four walls. How can we do that? We need to make sure there is no crossbreeding. That's the first thing we want to do. How can we do that? We're going to introduce religion. That's the best way. You want to subjugate somebody, you introduce religion. And these Aryans were so smart, in an obnoxious way, they invented a religion. They invented two words. One word is called dharma. The other word is called karma. Dharma means kind of a, you do what God says you got to do. Okay. So what he says, the God says, this is your job. God tells you this is the job you got to do. Why, if a guy says, why I have to be a carpenter, why can't I be the priest? Then he comes around and tells you that is because of your karma. What is karma? You did something bad in your last life, so the God is punishing you this life. Okay? But that doesn't stop right there either. You better not question that again. Why you are in that position. If you question, you will make the God angry, and next life you're going to be worse than this. Very smart people. Extremely smart people. So everybody did their job with a smiling face. It doesn't matter what the job is. Agreeing to be a slave, enjoying the slavery, So that's what we call in India, where the slaves enjoy slavery. Because they think they're serving God. But it took 3,000 years for me to get up and said, which God? Let me find out which God he is. Who made me be an untouchable? Tell me what I did in my last life. I sure want to find out. Okay? I sure want to talk to that God. Maybe I'll shoot him. Because I know the life of an untouchable in India. But what these Aryans did, they made us completely dumb, completely ignorant, completely illiterate, completely poor, completely weak in every sense of the word for 3,000 years. We can study, we can read, write, we can't even, our women cannot even cover their body. And we cannot even wear any dress like the other man. I'll go back later on and read some of the scriptures, which is the holy books of Hindu holy books, where it says an untouchable, the dress of an untouchable has to be the dress of the dead corpus. That is, the holy book says that. The Hindu holy book says that. And these people are supposed to eat only from broken parts. So when they have systematically made these people for so long, they completely accepted their faith, so-called faith. I said, well, obviously I've done such a bad thing in my last life. I have no choice. So I might as well hope for better life in next life, better things in next life, or maybe better life for my child in my next life. So let me faithfully follow my dharma. So I don't even have a mind to question as to why I am an untouchable and this guy sits on top of the hill. Okay? It took 3,000-4,000 years for us to even think about it. Okay? This is what is called Varna Ashrama Dharma, which is Varna means color. In Sanskrit, the word Varna is color. So the religion today is called Hinduism. The original name is not Hinduism. It is either called Brahminism. Brahminism. Meaning that you accept Brahmin as a superior. That is the name of the religion. Or Varnashrama Dharma. Meaning, I told you Dharma. The Dharma is the job that you do designated by God. And that job is due to your Varna. So Varnashrama Dharma. So this is the name of the religion. Till 9th century AD, when the Persians ran into India, they saw the river, the Sindh river, the Indus Valley civilization, which is the river called Sindh. They said, well, this is Sindh river, so this place called Sindh. But they can't pronounce yes somehow. They couldn't pronounce yes. So they called them Hind. Then they said, everybody who lived in this part of the country called Hindus. For them, everybody other than who followed Islam were Hindus. Even though an untouchable who is an outcast, because to be an Hindu, you got to have a caste. If you are an outcast, obviously you don't have a caste. If you do not have a caste, you can't be a Hindu. But for the purposes of the Brahmins and the other upper caste, it is for their advantage to call the untouchables as Hindus, so they can faithfully, obediently do your job. So they called them as Hindus. And the untouchables, not knowing what's going on, agreed, we are also Hindus. Except I can't go into their temples, I cannot go into the streets where the upper caste live, except to clean their bathrooms. Okay? So we were the outcasts. when the British came, they, obviously the purpose of the British who came there to conquer and to rob the country. That's what they did. And obviously the Brahmins were the guys who were controlling the local population. So they went to the Brahmins, and Brahmins said, everybody Hindus. So British wrote, everybody Hindus. So that is how everybody is called Hindus. If you read any article in New York Times about India, they would say India has 85% Hindus, which is absolutely false. So tomorrow, if you happen to see an Indian on the street, if you ask him what religion do you follow, if he says Hinduism, you should say, you mean to say Brahminism? He may not even know, or he may not agree with you. Because systematically, for all these years, the Indians or the Hindus have cheated the international community about what's going on in India. The caste system, the untouchability, it is so prevalent, so rampant, so barbarous, so evil, but it's all done in the name of religion. So nobody talks about it. And then it's controlled by the white man. The international press is controlled by the white man. So nobody can talk about it. The New York Times press reporter goes to India. The first guy meets him as a Brahmin. So Brahmin feeds him some trash. This guy brings the trash and spits out here. That's what's going on. Okay. So we are now trying to bring some truth in what's going on. Okay. I'm going to go back and show this book, African Presence in Early Asia. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this book. Okay. There are a couple of excellent articles here for those who want to understand a little bit the African connection, the Dravidian connections. But I want to quote one starting with Wayne Chandler, Brother Wayne Chandler's article. He brings Ethiopia and India together in this quote. And upon his return to Greece, they gathered around and asked, "Tell us about this great land of blacks called Ethiopia." And Herodotus says there are two great Ethiopian nations, one in Sind, meaning India, and the other is in Egypt. So, and there's an excellent article. There are a few mistakes, but I think that we can ignore that. Somebody said something? Okay. I want to define a caste system. How do you define a caste system? What is a caste system? Everybody talks about caste system. But I want to read a well-written definition. A four-tiered, airtight, stratified, and predetermined compartmental system of ascending order of reverence and descending order of contempt, with no entrance, no exit. It is fixed for the lifetime, decided on the basis of your birth, not merit, not scholarship, not even bank balance. Hindu religious scriptures came to elaborate, encode, and morally justify the system. One is born and died in the same caste. So once you are born as an untouchable, you are untouchable forever, and your child becomes untouchable automatically. So the Brahmin, his child is a Brahmin, no matter how idiotic he is, how stupid he is. And no matter how intelligent and untouchable is still untouchable. This system, unique system, only in India, nowhere in the world. And also the so-called Hindu religion is also only in India, nowhere else. So this is, Hindu religion is nothing but caste system. What is a caste system? In fact, originally started as a racism. It started with racism. and racism taught in the name of religion. So if anyone asks you how do you define in religion, it is sanctified racism. That is the word. So if in future, if you happen to see, and I would encourage you to catch every Indian, if you see, ask him what's your religion, he says Hinduism, you mean to say sanctified racism. I hope you would all say that. And I hope I'll give you enough information so you can support yourself. He is an ignorant guy. He doesn't know. He doesn't want to know, except his parents told him he's an upper caste. He's hanging on to that. And he loves to call himself an upper caste. But he never thinks for a minute as to why he is an upper caste. Why the other guy is a lower caste? Why is he untouchable? He never thinks about it. Because it is in their head, it is in their blood, it is the sickness. Shred of humanity, shred of compassion, if anyone has, why should I be the priest all the time? My father was a priest, my grandchild is a priest, and this guy is cleaning my bathroom, which he cannot even come into my house, cannot walk into my street. Don't you think a little bit of humanity would raise this kind of consciousness? Over 4,000 years this is going on. Neither Indians nor the international community ever talks about it. And today there is a war going on in Bosnia. They say, let's start an inquiry, war criminal inquiry. I mean, here an oppression, systematic oppression going on for 4,000 years, nobody talks about it. What is the reason? 200 million people are suffering today. And nobody talks about it. You know, one of the main reasons is because they were blacks and they are blacks. That is the basis. You may not know that, I may not know that. I did not know even know that my ancestry was black. I was not taught that in the school. When I went to school, they talked about Indus Valley civilization, but they never told me that is my ancestors who created this great civilization. Now you know what they're doing? The Brahmins, all these years, they said it is a Dravidian civilization, the black civilization, the Aryans invaded. In the last 2 years, now they say, we found new evidence. That is, no, Aryans were never invaders. Aryans were indigenous people. They found new evidence. Is it that difficult to plant evidences? It is painful. It is painful that they could have the obnoxious mind to twist history. And they are finding people could collaborate with them, and white men in this country. These guys go there, they join some religious cult, and then they come back and say, great, Hindu religion is great. Don't even know what they are. One time I met an Anglo guy, he said, oh, Hare Krishna, great religion. And I asked him, what's your religion? What's your caste? So you said you are a Hindu, what's your caste? I said, if you don't have a caste, you're not a Hindu, damn it. So you're a Brahmin, right? Is this the reason why you say you're a Hindu? Do you know there are untouchables in that country? These kids were brainwashed. These kids have no brain to wash to start with. They go there, there's crazy gurus, they have crazy ideas, like the Rajneesh, the guy who had a 36 Rolls Royce, because he let every woman and men do whatever you guys want to do. And that is how these Hare Krishnas running around and is one of the craziest groups. And they call themselves Hindus. How can they, if you read history, if you read facts, they cannot say that. But because it doesn't affect them. That is the basis. As long as it doesn't affect me, I don't care what you are doing, how you suffer. As long as I am in the pedestal. And that is what the Hindu religion, the Brahmanism, has done to their people. And that was the reason why it is so well protected. And nothing could change that. And unfortunately, the people from the down under, when they move up a little bit, and they want to imitate, try to run away from his own kin and kith. I think you can see some parallels here, right? Yeah. And this is what happening. This is a curse on our race. But we need to, that is where we need to go to education. We need to go to education. What I want to do is, I hope you do not know a whole lot of this Hindu religion. Because there are some people blindly follow this religion, not only the white man, I have even seen some African American sisters following, brothers and sisters following this stupid religion. To me, I don't think we should follow any religion other than our ancestral religion. Because when I go back to India, I call these guys, I tell these guys, there are 1,001 gods, so-called Hindu gods. All these gods have been there since 3,000-4,000 years. They haven't done a damn thing to our people. We are still slaves. And still we are slaves. The same thing goes here. Jesus Christ has been here 2,000 years. The black man and black woman has been lynched in this country with Jesus Christ holding his hand. Are we that dumb not to recognize that? If there is a TV, some award, musical award presented, the young, handsome African-American brother comes and stands, receives the award. Jesus Christ, thank you. I feel like slapping his face. He does not. Jesus Christ helped him be there. This is that our ancestors here, 4,000 years, been killed and lynched and murdered and raped. Because of them, this young man is standing here. We got to catch every little young child and teach them before they go to school and get some kind of teaching, some kind of education. And that is where our problem lies. And it is so prevalent in India because after 1947, I'm going to go back to the history. Brother Inoko told, Brother Inuni told me I can take all the time I want. So till you all tell me to shut up, and I'm going to keep going. So when after independence, so-called independence, and I'll come back and say why I'm calling so-called independence, the low caste people had little chance to go to school and move up. But he doesn't want to read history. He thinks, oh my goodness, gee, the God gave me. Because of God, I'm moving up. He thinks he's too damn smart. I'm extremely smart, that's the reason I'm moving up. It's not because of his smartness. It is because he got the opportunity. But who created the opportunity? That is the person he needs to go and thank. Instead, this idiot goes around to the Hindu temple and trying to hide himself so he can get into the temple. Because if he tells the guy he's an untouchable, they'll kick him out of that place. Because he's not supposed to go into the temple. As a matter of fact, not only inside the temple, he can't even go close to the temple. Because he's not only untouchable, he's unshadowable. Because even the shadow will pollute the temple or the god or the upper caste person. As a matter of fact, the village I came from, where I was born, I still remember there is a temple. Let's say this is the end of the wall. As an untouchable, I could not go next to the wall. There are a bunch of stones stuck about 20 feet from the wall. I have to go outside the stone. You know why? Because a certain time of the day, my shadow will fall on the wall. That will pollute the god. And the distance is measured with the angle, the longest shadow for the tallest guy. It is today. I'm not talking about 200 years back. And if anyone says India is the biggest democracy, you have to shake that guy, hold him by his collar, and tell him what is democracy. It is called democracy. That's what it is. Okay. I said the so-called independence because the independence is for the upper caste. So they have the independence to crush and exploit and discriminate the rest of the people. And that is what's going on there. That is what, the so-called freedom of press. Or what is freedom of press? Freedom of press, so the press editor has the freedom to do whatever he wants to write. And that's what is freedom of press. Just like that, here independence is that they can do whatever they want and they can exploit the people. So this is the kind of story that you don't hear about it. But this is the facts. So I want to make sure you all understand what Hindu religion alone, what is the implication. The temples are there all over. They are building temples in this country. The Hindus, the upper caste Hindus coming into this country, very powerful. They may be a small number, very powerful because of the money. Most of them are professionals, doctors, engineers, and businessmen. And they have a good hold on these politicians. And they build temples of millions and millions of dollars. And you go inside the temple, I don't know if they're going to let you in, but if you ever happen to go inside, you'll find out who is the priest. Only Brahmins, no one else. No one else can even go inside that inner, wherever that statue. The Hindu has idol worshipping. And they have 1,001 gods. And if you read some of the stories of these gods, you wouldn't believe. One god chasing another god's wife. Another god's wife is chasing another god. You wouldn't believe what all. And the god obnoxious things. That kind of stories the Hindu religion has. But that's what practicing here. As a matter of fact, the Hindu community in this country practice caste system in this country. Practice so subtly. There's local Indian-run papers. And the Indian community try to stay within themselves, trying to find match for their children. And they have what is called matrimonial column in the paper. And if you pick it up and see, they go through detailed description of the caste. Here. And this, of course, the white man doesn't care because he likes that, because it's all based on racism or freedom of religion. So you can spread poison in the name of religion. And we want to be watchful. We want to find out. We need to know. And unless we know the truth, we wouldn't know what's going on. Okay. Let me go back and read you some of the holy scriptures. Vedas, you probably would have heard about Vedas, Gita, Bhagavad Gita, is all holy books. I hope I made it clear. In the Brahminical Hindu religion, there is no single God like Jesus Christ in Christianity or Allah in Islam or Buddhism. There's no. I shouldn't say Buddha because Buddha never called himself a god. Okay, these other guys are all prophets or son of gods, whatever. Okay, but I gave up on these gods and religion long time back because I was born in a village. I was thrown out of a temple. I was thrown out of a street because I was wearing chapel. So I went through the pain for no fault of myself. I was in the village, about 2,000 or 3,000 people in their village, all caste from Brahmins to untouchables. I was the first person to leave that village to go to big city to go to engineering school. I was the first to leave the country to live abroad, and still I was an untouchable. And still am. When I went to 1988, I took a bus to go to the village. I was sitting and the next seat was empty and the upper caste guy wouldn't sit because he recognized I came from that village. And I think that probably that guy is a million miles away from as far as my caliber, my achievements. It doesn't really matter what your qualification is because you are born an untouchable. That is because Manu Skrimti, Manu is the guy who codified this religion. Hindu religion is nothing but rules and regulations to keep the races separate. Okay? So Manu, they call that he is the lawgiver of the Hindu religion. He says, Brahma, as I told you, he is the creator, has intended from eternity that the untouchables should be born slaves and live as slaves and die as slaves. This is, I'm quoting. I'm not coming up with, the reason I'm reading, because I don't want to misread it. I want to quote exactly what it says. Slavery is inborn among the Shudras. Shudras, the last within the caste system. Slavery is inborn among Shudras, and no one can free them from it. No one can free it because he is born. And then he is in the compartment where there's no entrance and no exit. A Shudra is a born slave. Food gets polluted by the smell of a pig, by the looks of a dog, and the touch of a Shudra. And he is not only simply saying the food is polluted by the touch of a Shudra, but he is comparing him with pigs and dogs. This is written 2,000-3,000 years back. I didn't expect that people could be that evil. Obviously they were. A Shudra shall always serve the Brahmins to live in this world and to benefit in the next world. Remember I told you? You do your service politely, obediently, there's a possibility you will be rewarded in next life. So this is what they tell you. So you do an excellent job being a slave. Not a disgruntled, unsatisfied, but you enjoy. Yes, master, I want to love, I want to serve you. Because I'm going to be a Superman in next life. A Shudra who behaves contrary to the injunctions of the Vedas and Smritis, which is Vedas and Smritis are the scriptures, shall born as a ghost to eat head lice. How sick these people can be. What kind of imagination this? So when this is told to an untouchable, he's scared the hell out of himself already, working as a slave, working as an untouchable. And if we tell this guy his next life you're going to be a ghost, he is going to try his damn best to be an excellent slave. And that is what this is, and this is called, what's called Hindu religion. If anyone has any kind of doubt, I want them to hear this, what religion is. And they haven't left women alone anyway. No religion left women alone. To kill women and non-Brahmins is not a sin. Here, as I was telling earlier, the dwellings of untouchables shall be outside the village, and their wealth shall be dogs and donkeys. Their dress shall be the garments of the dead, and they shall eat their food from broken dishes. Black iron shall be their ornaments, and they must wander from place to place. This is the Holy Scripture we are talking about. We are not talking about some kind of pornographic material. Let's come to Bhagavad Gita, supposed to be the holy book of Hindu religion. Anybody heard about it? Now I want to tell you how holy this book is. Chaturvarnya is another name for Varna, caste system. Has been created by me. Me means God. Service is the natural action of the Shudras. Here service means serving the upper three caste. It is glory to die in the observance of one's dharma, dharma meaning your caste duty, but dharma of others, this caste duty of others, is a horror. So you better not try to learn somebody else. So they have done it in such a way you do what you're supposed to do, faithfully.
That's the question I wanted to ask you. I'm from Guyana, which is a Caribbean nation. I have quite a few members of my family that are Indians. I know.
But since you started, finish it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let him go ahead. Not on the mic. I know. If you have a question, just go ahead.
Go ahead. But we would like to have all the questions at the end so that they can record it, I guess.
Right. Come on. I'll wait.
Okay. Yeah, I'll come back. All the questions. I have all the time tonight. I'm not leaving till tomorrow. One should not abandon one's duty, which attaches to him from his very birth. See, they are reinforcing it again and again and again. He who worships him through performance of his own duty, dharma, attains perfection. This is from Gita. Few other scriptures. The Shudra must be prohibited from hearing, studying, and understanding Vedas. I want to go back one step earlier as to how these four castes are created. The Brahmins are supposed to have come from the head of the god. The second caste, which are the trader caste, they have come from the shoulders of the god. The third caste, which is the warrior caste, have come from the thighs of the god. The fourth Shudra have come from the feet of the god. I was wondering where the heck I came from. I'm an untouchable. Beg pardon?
You say it came from the shoulders,
Uh-huh.
right? It came from the center of the body and the feet, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you identify them so we can relate to them? It's Kshatriya, Vibhishya, and the Sudra, right? Isn't that true?
The last one is Shudra, the guy who came from the foot of the Shudras. The Brahmin came from the head.
Yeah.
The Vaishyas came from the shoulder. Kshatriya come from one of the guy. It doesn't really matter. Between Kshatriya and Vaishyas, one from the shoulder, another from the thigh.
My brother, hold your question in mind. You get your turn. You get your turn.
Okay, the purpose of I'm not trying to define or teach a class. The purpose is to tell you the kind of philosophical approach to the caste system, okay? My main emphasis is, where did the untouchables come from? That is my point I'm trying to come, okay? Untouchables obviously no place, because they are further down in the hierarchy of the caste, okay? Okay. If a Shudra hears the Vedas, his ears will be filled with molten lead. If he should utter the Vedas, his tongue should be chopped off. His body should be cut into pieces if he should commit to it memory. This is one of the Vedas. These are the things written. So how do you expect a poor untouchable try to read or try to study or try to even think? There's no way you can think. And this is the basis on which the Hindu religion. So Hindu religion is nothing but caste system. Caste system and Hindu religion, one at the same. If I have that point come across, I think I've fulfilled my purpose. Okay. Now, coming back to the Hindu religion, as to how the untouchables have been in that bottom. What is the status today? What are their status today? Is there an emancipation? How did it happen? When the British came, before that, let me go back to the Persians, the Muslims came. They came in the 9th century. One of the reasons, every time a foreigner came into India, he was able to invade the country so easily, because people are completely disintegrated. There is absolutely no unity. Because that is the dividing and rule is the name of the game of the Hindu religion. Okay, so whether Alexander the Great walked in, or the Muslims came in, or the British came in, they had absolutely no difficulty in conquering the country. As a matter of fact, in certain places, the one king invited the other guy from outside in order to run over the other kingdom. So they're fighting against each other. It was easy for a foreigner to conquer India. The Muslims had no difficulty in conquering almost the whole India. So when they came in, obviously a number of untouchables converted to Islam, whether forcefully or because if I were living at that time, I would have jumped out of that and joined any religion. Better, I'm comparing one religion to other. I would have definitely gone any other religion other than Hindu religion. Okay. And again, by going into that religion, these people got benefit. First of all, they got dignity, because all said and done, Islam, among all the religions, the one treats everybody equally, at least comparatively. Okay. Then came the British. They brought Christianity into India. There also again, some of the untouchables and the low caste Shudras converted to Christianity. But in order to gain benefits from the British, some of the Brahmins also converted to Christianity. And by going into Christianity, they also took their caste to some of them. So today we have different caste in Christianity. As a matter of fact, we have different churches for different castes. There are some churches where different castes sit in different places. So I call Indian Christianity as a modified Hinduism. And it is true. That is true. And even today, you can go to India and you can see different castes of different churches. Okay. But with all that, the British did help the untouchables. They were able to recruit these people into their military. So there is a gradual up-level movement, and education was given to these people, even though the Hindu religion prohibited these people from education. After British came, these people were able to get themselves educated. So the real breakthrough for these people came in 1891 when a soul was born in an untouchable community. When that boy was little, when he went to school, he was not allowed to sit with the rest of the class students. He had to sit at the back corner. He has to bring his own little piece of rag so he can sit on the floor. The teacher would not touch his notebook. He cannot drink water in the school till somebody would take the water and pour in his mouth. And if somebody is not available to pour water, he could not drink water for the whole day. But thank goodness there was a teacher who recognized this boy had extraordinary intelligence. That boy is not supposed to have intelligence. Because if you're untouchable, you have no brain. Because they saw to it you didn't have any brain. By preventing you from teaching at all, learning at all. But this teacher found this boy, such an enormous intelligence. So he talked to another benevolent, one of the small Maharajas. So before 1947, India had hundreds of little kingdoms. They called them Maharajas. There is one Maharaja happened to be a benevolent, a good person. So this teacher informed that Maharaja about this boy. So that Maharaja said, I will pay for his tuition. I will pay for his education. So he went through college, and then he sent him to New York City in 1913. He came here in 1913. 1916, he returned to England. Within 3 years, he obtained both his MA and PhD. When he left in 1916, he shipped 2,000 books back to India. And I believe the only place he spent his time is in the libraries. And I believe the librarian has to kick him out at the end of the day because he would not go out. He went back to England, got his DSc and Bharat Law. Went back to India, and he was supposed to serve that Maharaja because he spent money on him to come to the country. He went back, he landed in Bombay. From there he had to go to this 100, 200 miles where this Maharaja kingdom was. He went there, he couldn't find a place to live because he was an untouchable. All his PhDs, MDs, DSc, Bharat Law didn't help him. So ultimately he had to lie to one of the like a boarding places, and he was able to get in. He went to his office. Everybody knew that untouchable is going to come to the office. So they had a rug, people to walk. They were waiting for this guy to walk in. They quickly rolled the rug out so he wouldn't pollute the rug. When he had to receive a paper, the office peon would throw the file at his desk. But whatever lies he made in his boarding place didn't last more than 10 days. They found out. They did not find out about his PhDs and DSCs and Bharat Laws, but they did find out that he was a born untouchable. The word born is the most important word. So there was a whole bunch of people standing in front of the boarding house with the long sticks. He was so afraid. So somehow he went through the back and packed his bag, ran away from the place. But there was no train till the end of the day, so he went to a park. I believe he waited for several hours, sitting there. If this is what happens to me, he was the highest educated person at that time in India. I think even now I can say he was one of the highest educated persons. What will happen? What will happen to my people up there in villages? Have no education, no property, absolute poverty. So he said, I'm going to work for my people. I'm going to do everything possibly he can do to see I can get my people up. So he went back to Bombay. He was able to get a job as a lawyer. Bombay being a big city with a lot of British influence, he was able to go to college, and he was teaching in college. Then he started writing about the untouchable peoples, and he started doing a lot of research to find out what the caste system is, why, where, how's the Hindu religion. And he was writing to British, and British people, thank goodness, at least listened to him. Listened to him. So when the time came, in 1930s, they were talking about the British leaving India. There's a lot of commotion going on. And I want to bring my favorite person into the discussion is Gandhi here. I'm referring to Mr. Gandhi, the old man that you would have seen a picture. The movie, the famous movie they took, okay? That is a propaganda picture, okay? This guy was also Bharatla. I think he was a third-rate Bharatla. He couldn't even find a job in India, so they shipped him to South Africa. That's the truth. So he went to South Africa to work for one of his... when the Indians went to other countries, whether they're Caribbeans or South Africa or Fijis and other places, the first shipload was all the untouchables. Because they needed the laborers or the coolies, they used to call at that time. Coolie. As anybody from Trinidad or Jamaica would understand the word. Yeah, coolie. And that was the untouchables. But then to manage them, they took the upper caste. So they had pretty much the entire cross-section of people moved to different countries. But the majority of the people, because they need more laborers than masters. So majority of Indians were shipped to those countries where the untouchables. Okay. So when the Gandhi went there, and he saw the British men treating Indians or his upper caste men as bad as blacks. He got worried. I said, we are a pure race, we are the Aryan race. How can the British can treat us like the blacks? So he started fighting as misunderstood. People say he fight racism. But they forgot to tell you what racism he was fighting for. He was not fighting for the black man. He was fighting for his own race. So he became a little famous, and whenever you fight for your race, the rest of the clowns lift him up, put him on pedestal.